Hello and welcome to the Sunday Afternoon Modular. In this video we want to have a look what the V/OCT input on our VCO is. Now most of you probably know that this is where you patch the pitch CV signal to create different tones. So this stands for volt per octave. And let's first have a look what an octave exactly is. I am originally a trained drummer, and drums have little to do with octaves, so I also had to learn what it means. I always find it good to have a picture in your mind that makes it more understandable of what we're talking about. And I will take a keyboard for it. So on a keyboard we have different octaves. As it has the word oct in it, an octave consists of 8 tones. Way back, October was the 8th month and December the 10th. But back to our octave here. You can also count the black keys in if you like, but the original octave counts only the white keys. Anyway, if somebody tells you that an octave has 12 tones, this isn't necessarily wrong. On a keyboard, it starts with a C and ends with a C. The C at the end is also the start of the new octave. So you see, we have different octaves here, from lower tones to higher tones. And now an oscillator has a certain octave range. One with a range of 7 octaves can produce more tones than one with a range of 4 octaves. But now we have a slight problem. Our oscillator is not human. So, how do I tell it to play the note C of octave 3? If you work with MIDI devices, it works with MIDI signals, where each note has a certain value. The standard MIDI value for the note C3 would be 48. So the MIDI device knows, when I receive the value 48, I have to play C3. In the modular synth world, we work with voltages. You probably already see where this volt per octave thing is going. Now C3 is at exactly 1 volt. Then there are values in between, and C4 is at 2 volt. C5 at 3 volt, and so on. So with every full volt step, the octave changes. This is volt per octave. But what if I want to play a C1? Well, no worries. If you really need a C1, which is down at 32.7 Hz, so a very low tone, it just goes the opposite direction. So we're going from positive volts into negative volts. So C1 would be at -1 volts. This is, by the way, what unipolar and bipolar means. Unipolar means that it uses only one range, for instance the positive volt range. And bipolar means that it uses both, so the plus and the minus range. If you're interested, I made a video about this. It's linked in the video description. But why do we have this volt per octave now? Well, this was basically needed to create a standard which manufacturers can use. There is an ISO regulation which says that in standardized 12-tone equal temperament, A4 is at 44 Hz, which in our modular synth world is at 2.75 volts. And this is also why oscillators sometimes need to be retuned. They are getting tuned by the manufacturer, of course, but it can happen over time that they drift a little. This means I send the right voltage from my sequencer, but the oscillator plays a slightly shifted tone. This can be because of heat, for instance. Some electronic parts create heat. This is also why a lot of oscillators have temperature compensation, to prevent drifting or keep it as little as possible. And I just realized I am drifting away right now because I mainly wanted to talk about volt per octave, which we did. I hope this gives you a better understanding of how this works in our modular synth world. There are always exceptions, like almost everywhere, but I would say most manufacturers stick to this standard. If you want to know more about this, there is a very good list in Zoe Blade's notebook that shows you the node names, the MIDI values, the voltages, and also the frequency. I actually researched quite a lot for this video, also to double check that I don't tell you something that only I think is how it works. So basically to validate what I'm telling you here. And that list was actually very helpful. So if you want to have a look, it is linked in the video description. If you enjoyed this video, you would make me very happy if you leave a like, share it with your friends that might be interested, and if you aren't already, become a subscriber. It's only a click for you, but it helps a small channel like mine more than you might think. Thank you for supporting small channels. For more modular synth content, you can also visit my Instagram account, which is linked in the video description, of course. So long, have a great day, evening or night, and see you next time on the